Yesterday was the Assassin's Creed Shadows reveal, where we got the CGI cinematic trailer, some new gameplay details, and an official release date. There was quite a lot to go over, so let's just get right into it, starting with the trailer. First things first, this trailer confirmed a lot of the leaks we had gotten previous to the reveal. Everything from the setting, certain characters, weapons, tools, and so forth. It's very good to know those leaks were trustworthy and accurate. But as for the trailer itself, it looked good, which is no real surprise. As I said in my video ranking these CGI trailers about a month ago, there is no such thing as a bad AC cinematic trailer. These trailers usually generate quite a lot of buzz and excitement, but obviously none of this is what the game actually looks like. However, these trailers do typically give us a showcase as to the kind of features we can expect to be in the game. Now, the trailer begins with our introduction to one of the protagonists, Naoe. I thought it was Naoe this whole time, but turns out it's Naoe. And like the leak said, her father, as shown here, is Fujibashi Nagato, a real historical figure who raised her to be a shinobi. And her village is burned down in the province of Iga to start the game. And our other protagonist, the samurai Yasuke, was a part of this invasion on behalf of Oda Nobunaga, another real historical figure who tried to unify Japan at the time through violence. And we can actually see him later on in the trailer. He'll probably be a pretty important character in the game, possibly even a primary antagonist, as Naoe will likely want vengeance for what happened to her village. But as the leak stated, it appears Naoe and Yasuke will start the game as enemies, but become allies with the common goal of unifying Japan and possibly seeking revenge while they're at it. The developers have said that the two should have a very interesting dynamic, with Naoe being the fiery, hot-tempered one, while Yasuke being the more level-headed and composed one to keep her in check. And obviously, as we've known for a while, courtesy of the leaks, Naoe is a character with heavy emphasis on being a shinobi with a stealthy playstyle, while Yasuke is the combat-oriented samurai. Ubisoft Quebec aimed to accomplish something like this in AC Syndicate with Jacob and Evie, only Jacob and Evie didn't actually feel that different and distinct when it came to gameplay. However, that should most certainly be different with Naoe and Yasuke, especially since each will have weapons and tools specific and exclusive to them, and Yasuke won't even have a hidden blade. Although they said stealth will be possible with him, he won't have a hidden blade like Naoe, which is a little disappointing, honestly. I was hoping he would also have a hidden blade, but I already know for myself personally, Naoe's playstyle is far more aligned with my own. Stealth is what got me into Assassin's Creed to begin with, and that's always my preferred playstyle in these games, so I'll be playing Naoe whenever given the chance. By the sounds of it, it seems like we'll mostly be able to choose which character we want to play as for a lot of the missions, although there may still be some missions where you're forced to play as one character. I would assume it's likely a good mix of both. But the devs have already said that all of the black box missions are designed in a way so that you can do both, and pick and choose how you want to reach your target or infiltrate an area. Honestly though, the two things that caught my eye and got me the most excited from this trailer was seeing Naoe do a double assassination with a Tanto and hidden blade. So it appears double assassinations are finally back in Assassin's Creed. It has been far too long. The last time we had them in a game was Syndicate, and since we've had the chain assassinations, which can serve a similar purpose, but it's obviously not the same thing as taking out two targets next to each other simultaneously. And the other thing that got me excited was Naoe's hidden blade, which immediately reminded me of Connor Kenway's from AC3, where he had a mechanism that would allow him to hold his hidden blade like a knife in combat. Connor has one of my favorite hidden blade designs in the entire series, and the developers have confirmed, as seen in this trailer, that hidden blade combat will return as well. Last seen in Assassin's Creed Rogue 10 years ago. You can see Naoe use her hidden blade whilst in combat on two separate occasions, and the developers have said you will dual wield it with the Tanto in combat. Hidden blade combat is something me and many others in the community have been wanting to return for a long time now. It's good to know it's finally back. We also got to see Naoe use a decent amount of her tools that will be in the game. Of course, the grappling hook to scale tall walls, which was leaked to be in the game a while back, and the developers even said we'll be able to do grappling hook assassinations, which sounds really cool. We saw her use the shuriken, which may replace the bow as the sole ranged option. I didn't see any of the characters with a bow in this trailer, so it may not be a usable weapon in this game. But with shurikens and possibly being able to use firearms, I don't think the bow is entirely necessary anyway. Although I do know some people really like using the ranged playstyle. And even though she doesn't use them in this trailer, we can also see smoke bombs on her belt that have been leaked to be a tool in the game as well. I'll say I also really like Naoe's drip in the trailer, going for the shinobi assassin look. Of course, I always love having the hood on the outfits. We better be able to have the hood always on. I don't want another Valhalla situation on our hands. As for Yasuke, we see what some of his weapon types are going to be. Of course, the classic katana that usually feels fantastic to use in video games, and hopefully is just as satisfying here. We see him with some more heavy weapon types as well, like the kanabo. The moves we see him quickly dispatch foes with are representative of the combat attacks and moves we can do in the game, like the overpower attacks as well from Origins and Odyssey. We also see a small amount of the level of destruction in the environment the game will allow for, as you can destroy shoji doors like in this trailer, along with lots of other props. The dev said you can destroy an entire market if you so choose, and Naoe will even be able to assassinate people through these shoji doors, which sounds exactly like what our ghost Jin Sakai can do in Ghost of Tsushima. Now, all these things aside, the most concerning thing to me as of right now, and something I noticed in the trailer, or rather lack thereof, is the Brotherhood itself. There was no real mention or footage shown of the Creed. Yes, Naoe looks like an assassin, she has a hidden blade. Her and Yasuke even say, "We are the shadows that serve the light." Of course, a variation of "we work in the dark to serve the light," but there was no other mention of the Japanese Brotherhood. I would assume her father, who raised her to be a shinobi, is a mentor or something in the Brotherhood, but the Brotherhood doesn't seem to be a very big focus of the game, just based on the trailers and information we've gotten about the story so far. Even in the developer breakdown of the trailer, they didn't mention anything about the Brotherhood itself, so that has me quite concerned. There was also zero mention of the Templars, which I would assume would be in the game, so I'm very curious how they will fit in. Perhaps Oda Nobunaga is a Templar or something. It kind of makes sense why he would seek peace through order and control. One of the things I was very much looking forward to in this setting was actually seeing the Assassin's Creed and having them be a big part of the story now that they are no longer the hidden ones. Yasuke is definitely not going to be an assassin, since he won't even have a hidden blade, but I was hoping the assassins would still play a large role in the story, so hopefully we get some more clarity on that soon, because I definitely noticed a lack of AC lore and elements in this trailer, especially when you compare it to, say, the Mirage one, where the Brotherhood was the main focus. But the trailer aside, we got a bunch of new gameplay details. IGN did like a behind the scenes video with the game devs, where the creative director very briefly mentioned parkour. All he said was that parkour was very integral and goes hand in hand with stealth, where Naoe can do lots of special moves, especially with the grappling hook, which isn't a whole lot to go off of, but fingers crossed. I think it's safe to assume Naoe is going to be much quicker and more skilled at parkour in comparison to Yasuke. They've described her as being very fast and agile, and a bit more of a glass cannon when it comes to combat, not being able to take as many hits or deal as much damage as Yasuke. How they describe her definitely sounds similar to how they described Basim leading up to Mirage's launch, so hopefully parkour in the game is fast and fluid. I'm curious what these special moves the creative director is referring to will be. Hopefully fully functioning ejects, we'll see though. The scale of the world was compared to Origins, and the game will mostly take place in central Japan. So it's still going to be a pretty large world, but smaller than that of Odyssey's, and I'm not sure if naval combat and traversal will be a thing. There is no mention of it, and while I'm sure you can get in smaller boats, like in Origins and Mirage for example, we may not have naval combat akin to what was present in Odyssey, as there won't be as many bodies of water and islands since the focus is on central Japan. I don't mind this personally. Some people may be disappointed if there is no naval combat, It is quite fun, but not entirely necessary to the experience for me. There are great Assassin's Creed games without any naval combat. It's not a core part of the experience, unless it's Black Flag, which needs it for obvious reasons. What I found particularly intriguing about the world, though, is the game will change seasons as we progress through it. So we'll get to see the world change dynamically and visually through summer, fall, winter, and spring. And it'll even impact stealth. In the winter, when there's snow, we won't be able to hide in tall grass or bushes, but instead we can hide behind or in heaps of snow. It'll change some of the landscape, like a pond being frozen over during the winter, but being normal in the summer. That sounds really cool, and I love some good snow in open world games, so seeing how the world changes will keep everything fresh, and I'm sure will bring lots of environmental variety. That, along with the dynamic weather, which will bring us storms, fog, all kinds of weather elements, that will also dynamically affect NPCs and our stealth encounters. An example the devs gave was enemies looking for shelter when it begins to rain, which will completely change guard positionings. So you can actually use the weather and the environment to your advantage in stealth, which sounds great in theory. I hope it's actually as impactful and dynamic as they describe. This paired with being able to extinguish light sources and hide in the shadows, which the devs confirmed will be a feature in the game, can hopefully bring a lot of new depth to stealth. As they said, stealth was a big important emphasis for the game, as the name Shadows would imply. Not much information about the types of quests and narrative has been given, other than that it will focus on a non-linear structure surrounding taking out a variety of targets, which sounds rather similar to Mirage's mission structure actually, perhaps just on a bigger scale as this will be a longer game. And finally, the last bit of interesting news is there will be a spy system. Kind of in a way similar to Brotherhood, where you can send out agents to gather information for you on a specific target. So in Brotherhood, since Ezio had become a mentor, you could send other assassins to complete missions to earn rewards. And this almost sounds like that, only for finding targets, and perhaps other locations of importance, as the game will not outright always tell you where to go. We see a little bit of this in the trailer, where the random person hands Naue a note. Again though, they didn't say these spies were assassins specifically. It would definitely make sense for them to be fellow assassins though, especially if Naue truly is a member of the Japanese Brotherhood. But then, of course, the release date is November 15th of this year, which is exactly 6 months away. Who knows if that release date will stick? The first date they give usually changes. Mirage got moved up a week earlier than originally planned last year. I believe Valhalla's release date was moved as well to avoid releasing around the same time as Cyberpunk 2077, so it's very possible the game could be moved up or delayed in the 6 months until the planned release. Along with all of this, Ubisoft also released some screenshots and concept art. No official gameplay yet, but I'd say that's a lock for Ubisoft Forward on June 10th. Maybe we get a quick trailer before that as well, at the PlayStation Showcase or something like that, like they did with Mirage last year. But yeah, lots of new information to process and unpack. Not too much of it was surprising if you've been keeping up with the leaks, but there are definitely some things that have me excited, like double assassinations, hidden blade combat, the dynamic seasons and weather, while other things have me concerned, like the distinct lack of the Assassin's Creed in the trailer and being mentioned in the extra details. It's not like it's important, it's not the name of the series or anything, but let me know what you guys think about Shadows so far, and as always, if you enjoyed the video or found it informative, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and considered subscribing to the channel if you're new, and other than that, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, Assassins.